Hey there, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a quick beauty tutorial. I recently picked up this lipstick from MAC that I've heard everyone talking about. It's called Mehr, M-E-H-R. And it's kind of like this dusty rose, and it's a matte shade, and it really kind of looks like that 90s lip trend, though I find it not to be too dark on me. It is definitely bolder than what I normally wear, but I really like the effect, and I did this kind of great look with it. So I wanted to share that with you today if you've kind of been wanting to try that like 90s lip look, but you want something a little more wearable. I find this whole look, but especially that lipstick, to be quite wearable. So let's get started. I'm already prepped and ready to go. Typically I like using the Tatcha Pore Perfecting Sunscreen. I wear it pretty much every day, but I like using it as a makeup primer because it's so slightly mattifying, so it really helps to give the skin a nice matte finish. So today for the foundation, I am using Wander Beauty's Flash Focus Hydrating Foundation Stick in the shade Light. So it is, as typically most stick foundations are, I find that it's very dewy. But in a not too much of a shiny way. I do still need to, I like using the Tatcha, like I said, primer underneath. Or sunscreen, but it's, still a primer somewhat. But it really gives like a nice fresh glow to the skin. I think if you have dry skin especially, this would be really beautiful. I don't find that it pulls on my dry patches at all. It gives quite good coverage. I like to apply it with a brush rather than put the stick on the skin. I find that I get a slightly more sheer coverage that I can work up to if need be, rather than if I just kind of stick the stick, and stripe it onto my skin. I find that it's maybe a little too much coverage, though I do like coverage, we all know that. And I'm using my Real Techniques buffing brush, which I love, which is one of my favorite brushes ever to use. And like I said, it gives a nice smooth finish. Let me make sure I get a cystic breakout on the bottom of my chin that's finally healing, so I gotta make sure I get that. Okay, so that is the finish. Like I said, it gives a really great coverage, but a little bit of glow. I definitely will use a powder throughout the T-zone area. Let's put a little bit of concealer underneath the eyes. I'm using the Makeup Forever Ultra HD in Y23. This is the new formula. I have to use just a smidge because it's such intense coverage. Not that it's heavy, but it is very strong coverage. I have the shade Y23, but there is an even lighter shade, Y21, that I could use if I really wanted to give a more strong highlight under the eyes or a strong brightening effect. It is a little too pale, I find, for every day, but if I really was going to kind of work, a little more dimension into my skin and wanted to highlight a little more under the eyes, that's the one I would use. But if you are paler than me, Y21 is a great option. Okay, then I'm going to take a little bit of powder and just kind of dust through my T-zone. I am using this Estee Lauder Lucidity Translucent Pressed Powder in Transparent. So I'm just taking a big brush and just kind of patting it. You can also use a puff. I love the Laura Mercier. It makes her velour powder puff. It's like a big flat puff that you can buy separately, I believe. I think you can buy it separately. I love it. That's what I use rather than a brush, but it's easier to show on camera with a brush. Though if I'm in a rush in the morning, I will use a brush. I find it so much easier. And I don't want to go too much onto my cheeks with the powder because I don't mind my cheeks being shiny. My cheeks aren't that oily. Okay, and then eyeshadow primer. This is the NARS eyeshadow primer. I go between this and the Urban Decay Primer Potion. Both are two favorites. The NARS one is almost out, so I have the Urban Decay one that I'll be switching to. And then once the Urban Decay one is out, I go back to the NARS. I go back and forth between the two. I don't find one necessarily better than the other, though some people would disagree and pick one or the other, but I find them pretty equal, in my opinion. All right, let's do brows. This is the Hourglass brow tool. Just gonna fill these in. This is the shade medium brown. Okay, brows are all done. And I feel like I have a hair from the, don't you hate that? When you have like a hair from the brush, you can feel it on your face somewhere, but you can't find it. It's so annoying, right? Ooh. I don't know if I made it worse just with that fluffy brush, but anywho, okay, so for the eyeshadow, what I loved with this 90s lip look was a more shimmery kind of golden eye, so it would kind of let the lip stand out a little bit more. The brows are a little bit, you know, not bold, but I didn't want the eye to be like, you know, more of a bold eye. I wanted it to be more of a sheer, kind of shimmery eye. So I'm using Burberry, the Wet Dry eyeshadow in Shell. I reviewed this one on the blog, so if you want swatches or anything, head to the blog. I reviewed it about a month ago. This is the new formulation in the Burberry eyeshadow. This is their Wet Dry. There's like 4 of them that launched with this, with Shell. And this is like a golden champagne color. It has just like a hint of pink, but not like too pink. I don't like pink on in my eyeshadow. I never have. I think some people really wear pink eyeshadow well, like a light pink. I just do not. It has to be almost like a bone pink for it to look good on me. But I didn't like the old Burberry eyeshadows. I can't remember what it was called, Gold Pearl or something, and it had a lot of fallout, very chunky. This looks like it would have some fallout or be a little chunky, but it goes on so smooth. It ends up looking kind of, you know, you really can't see the texture too much on the lid, like really nice shimmer. I'm going to blend it out into the crease. A new brush that I've been trying by Jenny Patinkin, Patinkin. And I love this brush. I have a few of her brushes. They are so incredibly soft. It's insane. This is the eye contour brush. I've been using this almost every single day just to blend out and even just to use in the crease as well. And even though I'm not using a crease shade, I still like to take the color to the crease and really buff out the edges just to make sure it's a real smooth and clean edge. Okay. Then we'll throw on some mascara. This is the Lune and Aster Stratosphere Volumizing Mascara. I've used this in a tutorial before. I really enjoy this mascara. This is Bluemercury's newest. The owner and founder of Bluemercury, she came out with her own cosmetic line exclusive to Bluemercury, kind of like M61, that skincare line that's only sold at Bluemercury. That's actually Bluemercury's skincare line. This is the makeup line. And I really, as I said before in the other tutorial, I really wasn't sure that I was going to enjoy this so much, but I really love the brush on this. It's quite spiky and full, and it gives a really nice, thick, defined lash. Not too clumpy. You know, I like a little bit of clump in my mascara. I think when lashes are too separated and too thin and wispy, it doesn't look nice. And especially with a light, shimmery eye, I find that having a little bit of a stronger lash really is a nice contrast. In the interest of not boring you guys on camera, I will cut this a little short, but typically I would continue applying a few more coats of mascara because I really like the lashes to be a little bit more dramatic. All right, for cheeks, we're going to start with the, of course, which I love, the Hourglass. This is the Ambient Lighting Palette, the 6 one, the limited edition. And I'm going to use Dim Light, which is the one right here. And like I said before, I wasn't sure my brush would fit, but it does. I love to use Dim Light as a base for my cheeks to give a slight contour, and it gives a slight glow to the cheeks. I don't find that some people would find this to be like a highlight on them. For me, it's not. It's a little bit, gives a little bit of definition to the cheeks. And like I said, almost like a contour. You can see it just like slightly. And then blush-wise, I found this color and I absolutely adore it. Let me see if I can find a brush first. Okay, this is by Kevin Aquan and the shade is called Ariana. And it's the most gorgeous, matte, flat, peach shade, but not too orange. It's just the most perfect peach cheek color imaginable. I've never tried this one before, and I got it in a gift bag when for a Space NK store preview, and I'd never tried it before, and I was like, this is beautiful. So it really gives the cheeks this like warm, peachy glow, and it really blends well with, this is another brush, the Jenny Patinkin brush. It's nice because it's a little bit smaller than my typical cheek brushes, so it really helps me to just kind of blend out a little bit and get the color a little more concentrated. And like I was saying, this peach color really helps to bring out the warmth in the eyeshadow. It looks really nice with this kind of champagne color on the lids. I told you this is going to be a really simple tutorial, as most of mine are. But I mean, just because something's simple, you know, and it's not extravagant with tons of highlighting and tons of contouring and 5 different colors in the eyes and lashes and, you know, winged outliner, doesn't mean that it doesn't have to be beautiful and look really pulled together and finished. That's what I always find. That's how I've worn my makeup. Even when I used to work behind the counter, years ago, I worked for MAC and I worked, one of the hairs from the brushes is still on my nose. And I used to work behind the counter, like I said, with MAC and then with YSL, and I just found that I really didn't have to take my makeup to like 13,000 steps to still really look finished and polished, and, you know, that I was, you know, deemed worthy to work at a makeup counter. You don't want to walk up to someone at a makeup counter and they have no makeup on. But it definitely was enough, and so I've kind of carried that mantra with me now that I don't even work behind the counter anymore, but it's just kind of my makeup style, especially when I worked at MAC. I mean, I worked with some of the most amazing artists, as MAC normally has, and some of those girls, I mean, the makeup that they could do was just absolutely flawless. But it was more than I ever wanted to do. I think I would get bored after I maybe like 2 or 3 eyeshadows on my lid. I'd be like, okay, I'm really bored. So I'd always stick with just sometimes 1 shadow, maybe 2 or 3, but nothing too dramatic. So that's kind of my goal in a lot of my tutorials, is you can still look really polished and finished and appropriate for almost any occasion. We can do nighttime, we can do daytime, work, whatever, with just a few products. So this is the lip. As I said, it's definitely bold. I mean, it's not like a nude, it's not too fleshy, but I was afraid because I'd seen it in pictures. Bloggers had swatched it on their hands and whatnot, and I thought it was going to be a little too dull or dark or a little too maybe plum or purple for my pale skin, but I think it actually looks really nice. And like I said, I like it with a light eye and a kind of flushed cheek like that we did. And let me just put on a little bit, just blend this out a little bit. I always find that I always want to add just a little more blush when I put on a bolder lip, because I like to have my blush kind of stand out a little bit, help to balance out the cheeks. So like I said, I think it's a really nice alternative to the really strong 90s lip trend that everyone's doing right now, but I find this to be somewhat wearable, that you can like dip your toes into the trend but still feel very comfortable and like yourself, especially if you like to wear lots of neutrals like me. So I still feel like myself in this, but that I can like dip my toes a little bit into the trend. So hope this was helpful and you found some maybe new products that you wanted to try. Highly recommend trying the MAC Matte shade in Mare. I think that's how you say it. I've seen it sold out sometimes when I go to a few counters, but if you can manage to grab it or grab it online, definitely try it out. So if you have any questions, leave them below and I will talk to you soon. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.